the way I looked at it, I owned the work because I paid for it. And I did all the work. I created it, so I felt like it should belong to me. That said, the companies felt otherwise.
I wrote it, you know what I'm saying? I paid the for the beat. I paid you for loaning me the money, you know what I'm saying? I paid you back your money. Now we splitting because you loaned me the money. Yeah. But you own my I don't owe you a thing. Why is you holding on to my
Yeah.
And that's standard.
A select few of us will do well. The majority will not.
We're gonna give you a $25,000 signing bonus, advance, and 2 cents off every game we sell.
They know what they're doing.
$50 game. You giving me 2 cents? Let me think about that for a minute.
DMX pulled up to a club in Toronto thinking it was about to be a low-key night, just beats and cool vibes. Then he locked eyes with Prince, and boom, the whole mood flipped in seconds.
And sat down to school me, I felt like a little kid.
In a good way.
I felt like
he's the OG.
Like my grandfather
smacked
me like, what the f is wrong with you?
Whatever was said hit him so hard, he later admitted it felt like getting schooled by your own grandpa, sharp and unforgettable. If you know DMX, you know this man didn't fold for anybody. Pressure never scared him.
We had a club, and Prince comes in, this big security guard. We go to the side, whatever. He's like, I was like,
he pointed at you and said like, yeah. Great to say that, X.
Yeah.
In his own words, he once claimed there wouldn't even be a Ja Rule if he really wanted to shut it down. So what did Prince drop on him that made X pause like that? Born Earl Simmons on December 18th, 1970 in Mount Vernon, New York, but raised out in Yonkers, X came up in chaos, no sugarcoating it. His childhood was heavy from the jump, and his mom, Annette Simmons, had to hold it down solo in a tough neighborhood. Home wasn't peaceful either. He faced harsh treatment and cold words from the very person meant to protect him, and he ended up moving in and out of group homes before he even turned 8. Even as a kid, X had that raw, untamed spark that you could feel across a room. He trusted stray dogs more than people. Dogs didn't judge, didn't lie, and had that same fight in their spirit. That bond became part of his soul and his image, Dark Man X DMX. At 15, he got arrested for taking a dog and did time in juvenile detention, a hard lesson for a teenager to carry.
What was it like being around DMX?
DMX was dangerous, man. Like, not dangerous, but he's like, when you around him, he's like, you don't know what's gonna happen. You know what I mean? Very unpredictable.
Right.
But even inside, he locked in and built himself up, beatboxing, writing, and spitting with heart until people knew the name. Picture a young X in cuffs, going bar for bar in a rec room, turning a bad situation into raw practice time. By his late teens, he was out under the park lights in Yonkers, battling MCs and pouring pain straight into the mic like it was therapy with a crowd. For X, the music wasn't a costume. It was survival. It was truth.
He was born Prince Rogers Nelson. And by the age of 7, he was playing the piano. It's just one of the many instruments he's mastered over the years. He's written songs for the most popular singers of the day and has gotten countless awards. This is the baddest man around.
And it stamped every verse he ever touched. He didn't pretend to be the struggle. He lived through it, and it lived in him. Jermaine Dupri once dropped a wild tale that shows how intense DMX really was while he was crafting life in 1472 in New York. No fluff, just facts. To juice the album's buzz, Jermaine invited a journalist, reportedly from The Source, to peep the session and catch that behind-the-scenes spark. The writer pulled up early, chilling in the studio lobby waiting for the crew to land. Minutes later, DMX rolled in with both dogs at his heels like security with fangs, calm but ready.
What amazed me, perhaps more than anything else, is how often I would come in and I'd see the mic in front of the chair in a sitting position. And you'd realize he had done a lot of that stuff sitting down.
Before Jermaine even hit the elevator, the whole vibe had already gone left. Dupri says DMX straight up pressed the journalist. No blade, no bluster, just presence and 2 dogs breathing like engines. He sized the guy up, asked who he was and what he had on him, and the dude folded quick. Nobody laid a finger on him, but the energy was so serious the man handed over his stuff off pure pressure, with those dogs locked on him like sentries.
Oh, the stuff you'd hear coming from the door.
Wow.
But see, Prince he would have the one track. So if he made a mistake, he'd roll back. But so often it would be one pass, and then you'd hear him doing the backing harmonies.
That was DMX's aura. No need for chaos when your voice growls like thunder and your animals ride with you like family. The reporter snatched his pride, grabbed his exit, and ghosted out of there fast. Now that you get the temperature of who X was in those days, flip the page to the other name in this story. Prince. Yes, that Prince. To the world, he was the mystic in purple, all silk fits, and a voice that could freeze a room. But under the lights, Prince was a machine, strategic, disciplined, and tougher than leather. A one-man empire who ran his art like a business with razor focus. He dropped 39 albums across about 40 years, nearly a release every year, steady as a metronome. And the catalog goes way deeper. People say he wrote between 500 and over 1,000 songs, with a mountain of heat still locked in that legendary vault. Prince didn't just make music, he lived in the studio like it was home base. Some days he built a whole record from scratch. Lyrics, vocals, every instrument, and the mix. Sun up to sundown, done. And sometimes he pushed out an entire album in a week, then moved on to the next idea without looking back. Every beat and every note was mapped to legacy, stamped with intent. Prince wasn't just about moving fast in the booth. It was the charge in the room that made jaws drop and hearts race. One engineer swore he watched Prince grind for 40 hours straight, hunting the rawest feeling a song could carry until it bled through the speakers. Most times, they kept the first or second take, not because it was glossy, but because it landed with truth and shook your chest. He locked a deal with Warner Brothers while still a teen, and by 1978, he dropped For You like a mission statement. No half steps. He didn't just sing. He wrote every word, produced every beat, arranged every note, played every instrument, sang every line, and engineered the whole thing himself, top to bottom. Warner tried to slide an executive producer in the room, but Prince wasn't handing the wheel to anybody. He demanded full control and took it. Then the blast hit. Purple Rain in 1984, the film and the album, launched him into rare air where few breathe. When Doves Cry, Let's Go Crazy, Purple Rain, those weren't just chart slayers, they were proof he didn't follow rules because he was busy writing them in real time. His sound was a fearless cocktail, punk, rock, soul, pop, colliding and blending like sparks off steel, nothing the world had heard before. And the look matched the Sonics, untouchable. Prince cracked every box people tried to stuff him in and tossed the lid away. Gender lines, fashion limits, all that normal talk got flipped while he strolled by in over 3,000 custom heels handmade by Andre.
As long as you're signed to a contract, you're going to take a minority share of the winnings.
Number 1, most dipped in purples and built tough for stage warfare. Gadgets and gimmicks never ran his life because he trusted feeling over formulas every time. No 3D scans, no shortcuts. He wanted hands, fabric, and soul shaping the vision in real space. Inside Paisley Park, in-house designers cut his outfits from late-night sketches and spur-of-the-moment ideas. He wore it like moving artwork that breathed with the beat. But under the glitter, smoke was rising, and a real fight was forming with the label, No Illusions. In the late 80s and early 90s, the pushback got loud. Warner Bros. Wanted just one album a year, a slow drip he couldn't live with while songs were pouring out daily. He said forget that, and started twisting the music business like a Rubik's Cube, turning corners nobody saw coming. By 1985, he shook the table with Paisley Park Records, and by the early 90s, he doubled down with NPG Records, turning independence into a blueprint others would study. Then came the shock that froze rooms. He changed his name to a symbol and pulled up with Slave written across his face, a message you couldn't miss from the front row or the cheap seats. It wasn't some stunt, it was a siren about ownership and liberation. A straight line to the heart of the fight.
It seems like Prince is a G, man. Every story we got, is good.
Everybody
Love Prince.
who didn't know Prince would kind of make fun of the heels.
If you don't own your masters, he said, your master owns you. That hit hard. By 1996, after handing in his last contract albums, Prince finally broke free, emancipation for real. With the chains off, he dropped on his own rhythm, cutting out middlemen and launching the NPG Music Club and Lotus Flow 3R to sell straight to fans. Prince didn't just create, he ran the whole show like a one-man factory. He wrote, produced, arranged, engineered, and played every instrument on many records. No co-pilot needed. Albums like Dirty Mind and Prince proved early he didn't need help. He was the studio, the spark, and the sound. His sound kept morphing. Rock 1 minute, funk the next, then jazz, electronica, soul, blended into one track like live magic. From Sign of the Times to Love Sexy, each drop felt like a reinvention. And the release pace was so wild labels couldn't keep up because he didn't want a single hand smudging his vision. Prince flat out shut down outside producers, clean and direct. When Warner execs tried to lean in during the early days, he showed them the door and kept it moving. No hard feelings, just boundaries and focus. Every time he got a mic, he pulled the curtain on the business, no hesitation. He called the industry what it was, a rigged setup built to keep artists begging.
Companies felt otherwise, and they would always hold this contract up and say, well, you signed it. And I say, well, I understand that. It's not like I want to leave. I just want to, talk about this thing and see if we can't make it more fair.
As long as you sign that contract, he warned, you're getting the smaller cut, period. Some moments don't shout, they slice, leave you standing still and make the truth ring in your chest. One conversation, one presence, one look, and your compass spins. That's what hit DMX like a wave. That man was Prince, point blank. And it wasn't just DMX clocking it. Cat Williams, the bold, outspoken comedian, once said Prince was someone he looked up to. So picture DMX in a Toronto club after filming Exit Wounds, cooling off with the music thumping, lights low, energy up, just letting the night breathe. He's settled in his zone, and then boom, the air shifts as somebody steps through. Not just anybody. Prince, smaller in frame, but carrying a presence that felt 10 feet tall, like gravity followed him around. You might be wondering what a soft-spoken, high-heel-wearing legend could say to someone as gritty and intense as DMX that would make him pause and admit, Prince blew my mind.
What is it exactly that you want to be free from when you're talking about your record company?
In your job, can you leave it if you want to?
Yeah, I can.
You can't? Well, in the record industry, you can't.
But it wasn't the words. It was the motion, the calm control, the way he moved like the answer was already his. Prince wasn't just fashion and flair. He wore lace shirts, velvet suits, and heels like it was standard uniform, then floated like he lived in another dimension, half rock star, half spirit. Folks couldn't box him in for nothing. Was he shy, arrogant, a genius? All of the above, and that's why nobody could touch him. Even DMX admitted people used to clown Prince, jokes about the heels, the glitter, the soft tone flying around like confetti. They called him Prince Gangsta as a joke, like a man dressed like that couldn't be tough for real. But they were talking from the cheap seats.
So the way I looked at it, I owned the work because I paid for it. And I did all the work. I created it, so I felt like it should belong to me. That said, the companies felt otherwise.
Which is exactly why the next move flipped the whole narrative on its head, fast. That night in the club, Prince wasn't what DMX or anybody expected. He slid in smooth and quiet, but the power in his walk was unreal, like the room adjusted to him on sight. He gave X a nod, motioned him over, no extra noise, just straight presence, then calmly told security to make space, and they moved without a peep. The crowd split like water, tables shifted, people stepped back, and half the club cleared so Prince and DMX could sit. Just them two. They locked in for over an hour, face to face, no entourage chatter, no circus, just conversation. That's what rocked DMX the most. It wasn't some flashy celebrity moment, it was real life, heavy and focused. He had rolled with giants, Jay-Z, Tupac, and even knew serious street crews like the Latin Kings, so he knew what power looked like up close. But Prince didn't need to flex, no raised voice, no chest beating. He just leaned in and let wisdom land like a clean hit. And X felt it deep. They weren't swapping stories about the spotlight or chasing fame either. They went straight to the marrow. Ownership.
All of these big deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is, TG Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all.
Purpose and what life means when the lights go black and the room gets quiet. In that pocket of silence, every joke and stereotype about Prince evaporated like smoke, and the truth stood there shining. Prince didn't just earn respect that night. He rewired what respect meant to DMX, like a switch flipping inside him. It hit deep, and years later you could still hear it in his voice. When a man like DMX, who survived the block, the booth, and battles most can't picture, says he was moved, you listen, because the realest moments rarely come from the usual suspects. They catch you off guard and change your view in one quiet hit. In that Toronto club, two legends linked, not off ego, not off beef.
There's a disintegration going on that we really have to address.
Only your masters. He explained how gave him the symbol.
All about.
But off truth that cut through the noise like a blade. So what did Prince say? Whatever it was, DMX didn't talk. He listened, eyes wide, silent, soaking game. No cap. This is a story most fans never even knew was real. passed from a man who was tired of label tricks and contract traps. DMX had rare talent, and Prince? He clocked it on sight. Their talk stretched about an hour, but the echo ran for years like a bell that never stopped ringing in X's head. One thing they unpacked heavy? Masters. No smoke, just facts. Let's break it plain, because many outside the business miss how deep it goes. The master is the original highest quality recording of a song or album. The source file, the mother lode. Every copy you hear, a CD, a Spotify stream, a vinyl press, even a tiny clip on TikTok, traces back to that single master. Here's the part Prince kept drilling. Whoever owns the master owns the music, period. Think of it like land. Own it and you set the rules, rent it, sell it, build on it, or let it sit, your choice. Let someone else own it and you're just living there under their rules while they call the shots. And in music, most artists, especially when they're young and hungry, sign papers that hand labels control of those masters before they grasp the stakes. They give away the crown without knowing it was on their head, and by the time they learn the game, the throne is gone. Cold reality. If you don't own your masters, you don't run your show. You're a passenger while someone else grabs the wheel and the plate. You can't choose where the record lands, how it's licensed, or if it ever gets re-released because the gate stays locked. The label eats first, takes the big slice, and slides the artist crumbs after the money moves, and Prince wasn't letting that ride. He pushed back hard. To really feel why that Toronto club moment hit DMX so hard, you gotta know why Prince fought the way he did. This wasn't random. It was mission-level business. Back in the 90s, Prince made a move nobody saw coming and squared up with Warner Brothers over who owned his masters. By then, he wasn't a rookie. He was global, a one-name legend with stadiums chanting. But even with all that fame, he still didn't own the music he made with his own two hands. He wrote it, produced it, performed every single note, and on paper, it wasn't his. And that did not sit right with him, not one bit. So he shocked the industry. He changed his name to a symbol, serious as a heartbeat. He walked in with slave written across his face, refused to answer to Prince, and told the world to call him the artist, formerly known as Prince. People joked, called him dramatic, said he'd lost it, but he kept stepping. He wasn't trying to entertain. He was planting a flag and daring the system to move it. He called the music business with no filter. He said many artists were trapped in contracts they didn't control, and he compared some of it to modern-day plantations. A harsh line, but he used it for change, not shock. Then he took it further and started dropping music strictly on his terms. No middlemen, no execs on the wheel. He built his own distribution lanes, bundled albums with concert tickets, and sold straight to fans, years before streaming and social made that normal. Eventually, Prince won and got his masters back, a victory with echoes that still ring. But the bigger win was the blueprint. He lit a path artists could follow and raised the standard for control and respect. That's why his calm in Toronto cut through DMX like truth, because when Prince spoke on ownership and legacy, he wasn't theorizing, he was living it in real time. Prince didn't just talk, he showed artists that saying no was a real option, and that pushback wasn't career suicide, it was power in motion. His interviews were unfiltered, his protests were loud, and the word slave scrawled across his face was him shouting truth when the world begged for silence. Over time, Prince's mission evolved. The focus got sharper and the gloves came off. He stopped speaking in soft codes about bad deals and faceless corporations, started naming names, pulling back the curtain, and pointing at the people he felt were keeping the engine running. One name kept surfacing in his commentary, Sean Diddy Combs. Don't get it twisted. Prince didn't knock Diddy's fame or fortune, and he respected the grind. What shook him were the power moves he believed Diddy made behind closed doors. The silent partnerships, the quiet alliances, that in Prince's eyes weren't just business but part of the same system he fought for years. He believed that kind of influence kept artists boxed in, just with shinier chains dressed up as wins. Prince worried the game was getting reset, progress sliding backwards under a glossy finish, and it lit a fire in him. For Prince, the fight moved beyond owning music. It was about influence, who holds it, how they use it, and whether it lifts folks up or locks them into the same cycle. He said labels didn't care what the message was as long as it sold. Values gone, morals swapped out for margins, and artists left counting pennies while hits spun worldwide. So here's what everyone wonders. Did DMX take that wisdom and swing for his masters? Did he flip the script in real time? The truth is more layered than a headline and not nearly as clean. That moment with Prince hit DMX deep, no question, but it didn't spark a fairy tale turnaround. Not because he lacked heart, but because the situation was already tangled. Lawsuits on deck, tough contracts, a battle with addiction, and old pain weighing heavy, making every step feel like lifting concrete. His fights weren't just legal, they were personal, and that kind of weight doesn't melt overnight. DMX didn't tiptoe into rap. He blasted through the door, fast, raw, unfiltered, like thunder breaking glass. That pace was power, but it came with a bill that showed up quick and loud. In just 3 years, he did what most still chase. 5 multi-platinum albums back-to-back, a sprint straight into legend status. Fans saw the stats and the bangers, but behind the curtain, the checks didn't match the cheers because the truth was cold. He didn't own his masters. Some of the biggest anthems, Rough Riders anthem, Slippin', Party Up, sat under label control like locked vaults. Once early contracts park your masters in someone else's hands, getting them back is a long, pricey, bruising climb. And even after that heavy talk with Prince, X didn't have the legal muscle or bankroll to unwind those papers while the clock kept ticking. The game wasn't built for artists to snatch power back easy, especially not while fighting inner battles at the same time. By 2013, the cracks weren't cracks anymore. They were rips. DMX filed for bankruptcy, with court papers showing roughly $50,000 in assets against more than $1 million in debt. And for others was drowning in bills, child support, taxes, legal fees stacking high, and a record that made booking shows tougher meant fewer stages and less cash in the tank. The road back was steep and full of gravel. It got rougher. Reports said he didn't even have full access to his own royalties, which meant survival leaned on shows and tours like a lifeline. But when life hits, addiction, jail time, age creeping into the tour grind, that money dries fast, and without ownership, you're left catching crumbs while the table gets cleared. So you gotta wonder, what if X had owned those masters from jump? What if he'd had a clean lane to cash in on what he built with fire and grit? DMX wasn't broken like people claimed. He wasn't soft, he wasn't lost, but inside he was hurting, searching, and trying to steady his spirit. He said it plenty. Money wasn't the mission. He rapped to be heard, to roar through the pain, to cry through the chaos, and to find a little healing in the noise. But the industry moves on money first, last, and always, and when the money slows, the world turns the volume down like you never shook the room at all. There's still no official word that DMX ever got his masters back before he passed in 2021, and that stings like a cold wind on an open wound. Most of the classics stayed locked under Def Jam and Rough Riders, with only whispers that his estate might fight for them, but to this day, nothing's confirmed. That's the heartbreak. He poured his whole spirit into the music, yet the very canvas he painted on never hung in his own house, even after that soul-deep talk with Prince. But something shifted after that meeting. DMX started speaking sharper, clearer, realer, like a bell ringing in a quiet church. He began warning young artists not to jump at the first contract, to read the fine print, and to understand exactly what they were giving up before they signed anything. He couldn't rewrite his past, but he planted seeds for the next wave to grow stronger and smarter, and those seeds mattered. That's where Prince's echo hit the loudest, because that message wasn't just for X, it was for everybody chasing a mic and a dream. It was for every kid thinking a signature is the finish line, when it's really the starting gun, and the race is about ownership, control, and respect. Prince made DMX look inward, and X turned around and told the world, don't just be a voice on wax, own that voice. In the end, this isn't only about music, it's about legacy and what remains when the lights go dark and the crowd goes home. Prince showed DMX that being a gangster isn't just surviving the streets, it's surviving the system, guarding your name, your voice, and your art even when the machine tries to package and sell your soul. DMX may not have had time to win every battle back, but he woke up and moved different, and sometimes that awakening is the real victory. If this story hit you, drop a comment, smash like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs this game. Much love, and see you on the next one.